Okay, hello everyone. I'm doing a pre-record of the very first discussion for the section on Earth science, particularly on geology. Now, previously we are, as you remember, done with the discussion on the astronomy part, where we try to understand the evolution of our protostars, kung unsa gyud iya ang ultimate end. And just a quick review. Of course, we know that the ultimate end of the life cycle of a star depends on its mass. So it's either it will end up as a white dwarf, a neutron star, or in very extreme cases, you have your black holes. Now we are moving since we are on the second quarter, and this will be the main content of our discussion. So minerals and its properties. So this will be the introductory discussion for the another main section of earth science, which is geology. Now, the very first question that we have to settle in our minds is this very commonly used term, which is the word mineral. Now, I want you to pay special attention because this has a different definition when used in a different context. Now, in our daily life, we tend to think of this as Centrum. So this is not, by the way, sponsored. So Centrum, sa paman, Conzace, mga yunana, no? Because we often hear that they contain vitamins and minerals. Now, obviously, that is not the minerals that we are talking in the context of geological studies. So when we talk of minerals in geology, we are basically talking about the composition of these samples that you are seeing on your screen right now. So we are going to define that formally in geology. Now, this is just a shot at making you maybe some little sort of um, like meme vibes super malipay ra sa bugamay. But anyway, when we try to define minerals in geology, in our geology class, we are considering or defining a mineral by definition to be any naturally occurring. So from the very first phrase of the definition, that already excludes synthetic na mga gi-create na to. So if you remember in our lab, we try to grow our own um, crystals from out of like mga inorganic compounds kato inyo ang mga I don't know unsa to gigamit na to gani ani kato atong diphosphate, is it aluminum diphosphate, kato sila basta katong naa sa lab nato dito that although it will exhibit some of the properties about na gidefine nato for minerals, automatically from a geologist's perspective dili gyud to nato siya ma-consider as a mineral in the sense that it is not naturally occurring. So the crystals that we are trying to grow in our lab is actually not naturally occurring but synthetic already. So any synthetic excluded na sa atong definition. Now the second significant point that we have to understand in the definition of mineral is it must be an inorganic solid. So you will find out later that although some of these materials na makita nato could possibly like mo fit in ang definition niya for some parts like they are naturally occurring, pero generally your minerals are inorganic in nature. So naatay mga makita nato later which will prove or supplement this point. So it must be an inorganic solid and that must possess an orderly crystalline structure. So each of these bolded terms ay ato na siyang balikan later. And also, it can be represented by a chemical formula. Now, if you remember in our discussion from the first grading, especially on stellar evolution, we are seeing that the like nucleosynthesis nimo from hydrogen, you have your heavy hydrogen up until the generation of iron. So the same gihapon diri class sa geology, we will still be dealing with chemistry happen because the chemistry will be the concepts in chemistry, particularly on the nature and properties sa imo ang mga different atoms, will be taken into consideration when we try to understand behavior of our minerals. For example, your halite, or a very basic example of your mineral halite is your salt. Your salt will tend to create crystal habit and shape representing cubes, just like what you are seeing here. and also that is evident in our mga salt ninyo na nasa iyong balay, ilabi na ka ng mga rocky na salts. So ang iyahag yung gina-exhibit na structure na is cubes. Now that has something to do with the properties of the atoms involved in that mineral. And by the way, kanang imong salt kay ako na nato mong spoil daan, we can consider this as a mineral because first and foremost, if we go to our definition, it is naturally occurring. Check. It is an inorganic solid, so it's sodium and chlorine. In this case, example, isa ka example sa salt, and it also has an orderly crystalline structure. Now, as you can see here, there is a specific orderly arrangement of your atoms sa imong sodium na ayon nimo og chlorine or chloride nimo nga ions diraa, so they are arranged in a well-defined manner, and hence it is able to satisfy the definition, second na main point of the definition of your mineral. And also, yeah, basically the three, it's naturally occurring, it's an inorganic solid, and it has an orderly crystalline structure. So when either of these one is no longer met, kung either dili siya naturally occurring, or dili siya inorganic solid, or wala siya orderly crystalline structure, in the strict geologist sense, we cannot consider that as a mineral. Okay? So let's try to understand the history. So anong kinahanglan mata? Why do we have to study, or is there any relevance at all in studying these minerals? Now, I would like you to drop your answers in. I'm trying to create an H5e file so you can type in your responses. And the question is basically, do we really need to study minerals? So anong kinahanglan man ta ani? Kinahanglan ba gyud nato ni siya, or this is like an obsolete science? So you can drop your thoughts sa ato ang H5p na file.